I signed for them after the Euros, and after my first day's training, I was driving home. I was actually thinking, regretting it. What have I done? Like I walked into a circus.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Who's going to be walking into the circuses this transfer window? Phil is here. Phil, good morning to you. Time for Deal or No Deal. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good. Celtic, without Edouard, crashed out of the Champions League. Does this show why he needs to leave Celtic or why he needs to get to Aston Villa, most likely, ASAP?
Yeah, a bit of both. Obviously, Celtic were poor. Defensively, they made mistakes, and even just watching the last 10 minutes when you knew they needed a goal, it just never looked like it was coming. Even when the board went up for 5 minutes, injury time, you think they're going to get a chance, but they never got the chance. They just couldn't carve it out. It was all very, lateral passing. There was no injection of pace. It got to the edge of the box and there was just nothing there. And the last pass, that incisive pass, just wasn't there. So really disappointing, because that's a team. I know Neil Lennon had talked up Ferencváros before the game. They had been unbeaten in the last 7 away games in Europe, but Celtic have to be beaten. That's 3 years in a row now where they've been knocked out. I mean, and it's getting worse. You're going from AEK Athens to Cluj and now to Ferencváros, who managed by Rebrov. But yeah, like, if you're going to, they should be at the very worst, they should be getting to the playoff round, and then maybe they come up against a team that are just a lot better than them. But that was down to a poor performance, and it doesn't really bode well for the season if they're going to lose. Like, Neil Lennon's come out after the game and said, there's players that have been making waves for the last 6 months about leaving. Well, now is the time they probably should leave. But this is a season, like, this is such an important season for Celtic. They have a chance to win 10 in a row. And already they're behind Rangers, because Rangers have played more games than them, because obviously Celtic had those games postponed. But they can't be losing ground to Rangers, and also they just don't look like they're going to be scoring as many goals. Now, we know that there's so many teams in the Scottish Premiership that Celtic could have off days and still beat them. But yeah, you'd be slightly concerned that of all seasons that things don't look as promising. You don't want it to happen this season.
Is Edouard going to make it?
Is he going to leave?
No, is he going to make it in the Premier League? Is he good enough?
Oh, I think so, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think Villa would be a good move from where, straight away there's not a huge amount of pressure on him. I mean, he's going to have to score goals.
He's going to be the only one scoring goals. It's going to be all the pressure on him.
Well, no, Jack Grealish is obviously going to be so pissed off he was left out of another England squad.
Not chipping in with a lot of goals, are Jack?
No, but that's because he gets kicked about. By the time he gets to take a shot, people are tripping him up. But no, Edouard would be a player that I think would certainly have a successful career in the Premier League if he wants it.
OK, you believe still that Leo Messi will not leave Barcelona, or have you changed your mind in the last 24 hours? And what information do you have that the rest of the world doesn't have, Phil?
Well, I don't. I believe it when I see it. But obviously all the sounds coming out now are that he's going to move and he's going to join Manchester City. So it's really up to how Barcelona let it play out. This is a guy that he's been so loyal to them. 20 years he's been at the club. And if he wanted to walk away in a free transfer, who are Barcelona to stand in his way? Because look what he's done for them. But Barcelona need money.
Yeah.
So they're not going to just say, off you go, Leo, you've been great, thanks a million. And sure, we might see in the Champions League later on in the season when you're playing with a much better team in Manchester City.
The Alexis Sanchez deal ruined Manchester United for about 18 months because everybody then got massive pay increases off the back of it. And those pay increases are going to have to wash out of the system over the next while. Everybody tried to pin themselves at Barcelona to the Leo Messi salary because they were like, look, this isn't a one-man team, If Leo Messi's getting $1 million a week, then I want $500,000 a week. 1/10 of that, please. Irrespective of who you were. So their wage bill is completely out of context with everybody else. So if Messi goes over the next couple of years, you could see Barcelona getting back to a point where they're getting some value from their players. But a front three of Griezmann, Dembele, Coutinho, is that not bad? Is that not a pretty decent front three that could actually do stuff in European football next year?
Well, all of the players you mentioned are players that they spent huge money on, but it hasn't worked at all yet. Obviously Coutinho's gone out on loan, Dembele's been injured, and Griezmann hasn't worked out for all the potential he has, and the big deal that he made out of leaving Atletico, and it hasn't.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
It hasn't been great. So you mentioned there, Barcelona players saying we're not a one-man team. Well, I suppose we could find out next season just if Leo Messi was the problem at Barcelona. The fact that here he is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Some would say the greatest. We won't go into that debate just now, but if he leaves and you've got a more energetic front line, because
I think that's not a bad team. You're taking Suarez out, you're taking the two of them out of the dressing room, you're taking their wages off, you're probably getting rid of a few of those other old players now because there's no need to keep them. Here's some of the updates very quickly. Messi's dad is already in England, say The Sun, to discuss a 2-year deal with Manchester City after he said he wants to leave. The Telegraph are saying if the deal does go ahead, it could cost City 500 million. That would be the wages as well. And the wages are anything between 70 and 100 million because he's got to get 50 netto, which is quite a lot. And any club wanting to sign him will have to pay about 90 million a year. The Times of London say that's their figure in terms of to match his wages at Barcelona. And he will attend Barcelona training on Monday to avoid legal problems with the club.
That'll be interesting. Lads going in 2-footed on him, saying you're not leaving now.
or the opposite, where they all rally behind him and they're like, yeah, come on, Leo. Like, that's not a great situation. Ronald Koeman's
what Suarez has done already.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Suarez. But, look, it was quite clear watching the Bayern game. As good as Messi and Suarez were in certain little moments of the match, that they, like, at one stage, they're just walking. And the way the game is now, you just can't really do that in modern-day football, where, like, Man City are obviously better equipped because they have a lot more possession of the ball and they've got better players than Barcelona. So Messi fits into that team perfectly, where Pep Guardiola can say to Messi, look, you just stay up there and we'll get the ball to you and do your magic when it comes to you. We've got the likes of Sterling, just play those through balls in behind the defence. He'll get on the end of them. You've got De Bruyne there.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. The last training session of the 2004 season, I was at Barcelona, and we were over. I don't know why we were over. I think we were making a documentary or something. But we decided we've got to train, and Graham Hunter sorted it out for us. We went and watched training, and Patrick Kluivert had announced that he was leaving the club. Ireland were playing Holland in 2004 in that off season before the Euros, which we weren't at, but they were in a friendly. And so we were like, oh, let's just go over to Kluivert and talk to him, keep an eye on him during training. Carlos Puyol killed him in training, like studs up, foot through the middle of the knee as much as he could, because they all knew he was leaving. And when we went over to interview him afterwards, it might have been us, but there was definitely a reek of booze in the air. I'm not saying that like we were in an innocent party in this, but certainly like when Kluivert was breathing on us, I was like, oh, right, that's interesting. So maybe when players do leave Barcelona, maybe Piqué will be kicking Messi up in the air at that training session. Let's wait and see. I don't know.
Vidal will be the man there.
Is Vidal not? Are they not mates?
Ah, yeah,
They're
but like, I mean,
mates, yeah.
sometimes kicking one of your mates is good fun as well,
All right, okay. Last one. What would Matt Doherty look like as a Jose Mourinho player?
A right back. Gone from a right wing back to a right back. The only thing is, the way you look at it, Mourinho is not going to be at Spurs for that long. So it's a new challenge for Matt Doherty. And if I think what usually happens with Mourinho is second season is obviously usually his best season, but then it all starts to fall apart. We don't even know if the second season will be good. But then if he leaves, Matt Doherty will have a better chance at having a good career at Spurs.
Is this good news for Stephen Kenny as well, Phil? If you consider he's going to play probably as a more conventional right back at Spurs, that probably suits Kenny a lot better, that he'll be playing his football in a back four as opposed to playing as a wing back in a five.
Absolutely. And look, Matt Doherty can play in a back four. It's just Wolves happen to play as wing backs. So he'd be perfectly fine. We know he's also played as a left back as well. So he can play in any full back position or wing back position. But yeah, I would agree there that he'd obviously be. And look, it's not as if he's not going to get forward. Serge Aurier gets forward under Jose Mourinho, and puts in that's the better side of Aurier's game. But obviously Mourinho doesn't trust him because he falls into that category of defenders that has a mistake in him, where a ball goes into the box and if Aurier is around it, you don't know what's going to happen. So Mourinho wants a bit more calmness in the penalty area, and Matt Doherty is one cool customer, in fairness to him.
We have a story up on OTBsports.com about a potential windfall for Bohemians from that deal, 1.8 to maybe €2 million. in terms of windfalls, what kind of a contract would Matt Doherty be on now, and what kind of a contract will he be on at Spurs after a move like this?
Yeah, well, obviously they're going to increase his money. And
from what to what, do you think?
I don't know the exact wage structure of like, obviously Wolves are fairly flush for cash, so he would have got new deals with them as they progressed coming up from the Championship. So I wouldn't say he's short of a few quid, but definitely he'd be able to get a bit more money at Spurs. And I said, you're going to a better club. Like, I know Wolves are obviously finished ahead of Spurs, but
so Spot Track, and I don't know, this is in American sport, you publish all your contracts and everybody knows exactly to the pound, shilling and pence how much you earn. Spot Track maps all of those for the NBA, the NFL and on baseball, and they've started to do it for football as well. They reckon that he's on 10 grand a week.
I can't.
Has to be more than that.
I can't.
Does it? Because he's been there a long time.
Yeah, but this guy has been one of their best players, and you know, it goes back to what you said about Messi. So Wolves sign all these players like Neves and Jimenez, that players like Matt Doherty can say, well, you know, I've been here since the Championship, was part of the team that went up, as was Neves as well. But if they're getting big money, I want big money as well.
And they're like, you signed a contract, off you go. That's come back to us when that contract's out. Oh, it's not out until 2023. So look, is this a 60 grand a week contract at Spurs? Is it an 80 grand a week contract at Spurs?
Well, I wouldn't fancy doing negotiations with Daniel Levy, but I'd imagine if you're saying it's 10 grand, he's definitely going to be at least 4 times that at Spurs. So, you know, not only is it a good move from financially, but also career-wise, it's a good move.
He's replacing Serge Aurier. Spottrack have him at 70 grand a week. Now, look, these are reported figures from Spottrack. So if he gets to 70 grand a week, that'd be not a bad day's work. And I wish you all the best, Matt Doherty. Go man yourself. Right. Edison Cavani, the last one, sorry, we do have time for this. Free agent Edison Cavani has rejected a summer move to Juventus due to his loyalty to former club Napoli. The 33-year-old Uruguayan striker left Paris Saint-Germain at the end of the season. Which Premier League club should sign Edinson Cavani?
Leeds. I want Leeds to sign Cavani. That they obviously play such lovely football, but don't always score enough goals. Cavani goes in there, and he's an upgrade on Patrick Bamford, obviously. So
they just signed a striker yesterday, though, didn't they?
But this is Edison Cavani.
Is he still good?
They're obviously looking at Rodrigo, but Cavani, the way Leeds play, you need somebody to finish off all these flowing moves, and Cavani can do that. Now, right. Sometimes he needs a couple of chances to do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. And also, again, you're like, you've got all these young players coming up, very excited about the fact that we've just made it into the Premier League, and we're all on 15 grand a week each, and now if we stay up, it's going to go up to 40 grand a week each, and then Cavani comes in and he's on 140 grand a week, and he's like not really doing that much of training, and he's missing a couple of chances. And does that not upset the complete equilibrium of the entire place?
Well, it's going to be Bielsa's call. If Bielsa wants him or doesn't want him, you know, he's going to say this. So the worry for me, I've always felt this with Bielsa, I never know, or no one knows what he's ever going to do. So Leeds do not want to annoy him before the season starts, because we all want to see Bielsa in the Premier League.
All right. That is the end of Deal or No Deal today.